Hey, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another YouTube video. And this one I wanted to talk primarily about some things that social media marketing agency owners, like beginners especially, really overthink and paralyze themselves because of. And so this is a thing that I've experienced in every business niche that I've ever been in. So as you know, I'm just like a serial entrepreneur. I've done a bunch of different stuff. But I've decided that, if you don't know this about me, I'm dedicating the next 2 years of my life to the social media marketing niche, and I'm not leaving it until I make $1 million. And that's what Russell Brunson says to do. That's what people like that say to do. I'm like, it's a great methodology. I love that idea. And so that's what I'm doing. But for those of you who have been following me for a while, I used to be a wedding photographer. I was in e-commerce there for a while. I played around with a bunch of different stuff. And every niche has its like false beliefs for beginners. Every niche has its things where like people can't quite seem to grasp the simplicity, right? And social media marketing is one of these things where people see it as more complicated than it actually is. And I really wanted to explain to you sort of how businesses work, so you can actually just like take the basic model of how businesses work and apply it to your social media marketing agency, so you know what you need to do next. Because people just get so fed up and frustrated with themselves even. I've been in that position where I'm just frustrated with what the heck do I do next? I'm frustrated. I don't have motivation because I'm not seeing the results of my work, and it's just this negative spiral downward, right? And so I wanted to talk about specifically the misconceptions and what people have wrong with their social media marketing agency. And I'm going to use a graph here on my whiteboard as an example of sort of how businesses work, so you can have like a visual, right? So we have here on this whiteboard, all businesses are systems with inputs, processes, and outputs. And if you follow Sam Ovens, you've heard him talk about this. He didn't come up with the concept, but he talks about it quite a bit, right? So systems have inputs, processes, and outputs. All the business is input is like your time or your money. The process is, the way in which you serve the customers that come in the door. The output is obviously more money. And if you want the business to grow, you take the money, you put it back in the front. And this works with pretty much any business, or works with anything that's growing actually, right? So like, for example, somebody who wants to be really good at soccer, the input could be time put into, practicing. The process could be playing a game really, really well, and the output can be like getting cheered on, and he can take that motivation and put it back into practice. And he just gets better and better and better and better until eventually he ends up playing pro, right? And so that's a really good example of how business works, how any system works. It has inputs, processes, and outputs. This is some really kind of next level stuff. If you haven't heard this before, probably doesn't make any sense to you, but here's how it works with social media marketing. So with social media marketing, you gotta figure out, what are my inputs? What are the things I'm putting into the business that grow it as an asset? So for example, if you aren't doing outreach and you're not getting new clients in the door, that's the obvious first step. You need to have inputs. Next, you need to have processes, so you need to know how to serve the clients. So how do I actually serve these clients? How to run Facebook ads for them, whatever it is that you're doing for them. I teach primarily Facebook ads, but if you're doing something else like social media management or like building chatbots or something like that, how can I go out and learn how to build a better chatbot? How can I go out and learn how to post better, more engaging content on their social media platforms? And then lastly, the output, right? How do I manage the client relationships so that I get the most output possible while keeping them happy, which is a part of the process? So the output is like, instead of billing them manually every month and sending them an invoice, you use a software like PayFunnels or something that allows you to automatically bill them. So then they just get billed over and over again, which psychologically keeps them on board much longer. Instead of them having to manually pay a bill every month, it just comes out of their account and they don't think about it, which keeps them on board longer. So stuff like that, right? Understand psychology so you can grow. So in your business, you have the 3 steps. You have inputs, processes, and outputs. And a lot of people get frustrated and stuck at inputs. They get stuck at client outreach. They get stuck at things like that. And that's such a frustrating thing for me, because they don't see the beauty of learning about the processes and the outputs. And when I'm coaching people, I talk too much about inputs. They're like, how do I get a new client? How do I blah, blah, blah? I'm like, it's just, in order to get a new client, you just build relationships with business owners, bring them value, help them out. You need to know your processes first, so know the niche, know how Facebook ads, whatever works, and know how it brings value to your potential clients. Reach out to them on any platform, LinkedIn, email, whatever. Get in front of them, right? If you're not doing a certain amount of cold outreach, I say like 10 emails a day, maybe minimum. I've met with people who do 100 emails a day, and still they're not satisfied. So if you're not filling your inputs enough, your process won't even work, even if you've built it, even if you've got great contractors and a great system for servicing your clients, a great onboarding process, a great, I don't know, whatever. It doesn't matter because you're not feeding it inputs. So you're never going to make money because you just have a process that's sitting there with no inputs. And so when people are frustrated and they don't know what to do next, or they are like, the misconception is, let me get back on track. The misconception is that it's more complicated than it is. They think SMMA is this weird, crazy, complicated thing. And I would say, buy a course, to be honest with you. If you are frustrated, get out there, invest in a course. They're super helpful. And I know I have every reason to say that as somebody who may come out with a course at some point, but to me, it's super helpful for you to just realize how simple it is. Because for me, every time I've bought a course, I've been like, man, why didn't I think of that? It's so dead simple. For example, things like, having a sales guy do cold calls for you and then putting those meetings with new potential customers on my calendar for me so I don't have to cold call all the time or cold email or whatever. Just train them on how to do that. And that's not something I really learned from a course. It was more like I learned how to have a sales guy from a course, and then I taught him how to put the things on my calendar or whatever, so I just innovated from there. So people get stuck. They don't know how to think. The problem is they don't know how to think about their business. They don't know how to look at their business as a whole. And so therefore they get stuck listening to people like me. And they're just like, what do I do, Trey? How do I get my first, I get this DM all the time. How do I get my first client? I'm just like, dude, I guess it's a good place to start, but you got to understand the full picture. I would start with learning, if you're going to run a social media marketing agency, I would start with mastering your service. I wouldn't start with how do I get a first client. Because getting your first client becomes really easy when you know exactly how to get results for them, right? So go out there, run some of your own experiments. Go out there, get really good at your service, and getting a client gets really easy. Now there's another methodology that I follow, which is just get your freaking first client, go talk to some business owners, go look at industry averages online, go authority jack some other people who have gotten results and talk about their results instead of your own and say, don't guarantee anything, but say there's a chance that we're able to do the same for you and we'd love to talk to you about it and help you out. And then once they're interested, get them on your agency and then hire a contractor that night to do the work. That's another route you can go. So that way you're handling the process and have the contractor talk to the business owner instead of you. So people they just make it so complicated. And it's really frustrating for me because my duty, I've made it literally my duty in the next 2 years. I really want to have changed people's lives with this, because social media marketing is not just running Facebook ads for businesses. When you run any business, the second you run any business, and let's say you make more than 10 grand a month, you realize how easy business is. You realize just how freaking dead simple it is, right? And this is all it is. It's just inputs, processes, and outputs. How are you getting clients in the door? How are you serving them? How are you making the process of getting their money from them super easy, whatever? How, outputs, money, right? So it's more so processes than anything, how you're actually billing them or whatever. But still, inputs and processes. And then if you want to grow the business, put money back into ads, build a funnel to get people into your agency instead of doing all this cold outreach crap. So it's just duh. It's just so easy. So now that you know the 3 steps, look at those 3 things, say which of those 3 things am I missing and how do I work on it? And that's all you have to do. That's it. And so I want to walk you through one last thing. I want to walk you through the steps of building a successful business. So there's sort of 4 steps, and the 4th is kind of a given. It's more like 3 steps, and the 4th is the outcome. So step 1 is build a net positive process, right? And I wrote, for example, a webinar. So a webinar, if you don't know what it is, it's basically a long format video that people can sign up for. They watch the whole thing, and at the end of the webinar, you pitch something of some kind. You invite them to a phone call to pitch them something, or you pitch them something, or there's tons of ways to sell something on a webinar. It's like a psychological thing. When people sign up for a long format video, they're way more likely to buy something from you. Webinar is really powerful. So build a webinar to sell something. Course, service, whatever, product, I don't care, right? And then 2, provide it with inputs, right? So build a net positive process. So maybe it could be, in your agency, you're building a net positive process by studying your niche and knowing how to build chatbots, knowing how to run good ads, knowing how to post on social media. So you have a net positive process, right? That process, every time you feed it inputs, it shoots back out the other end better outputs. So every time you give it $1, it gives you $1.02 back, whatever. $1.2, $1.5. So 2, provide it with inputs. So build a net positive process and provide it with inputs. So once you have the process, which is your service, and how the funnel, how you service people. Provide it with inputs. In this example, I wrote ads. So we build a webinar, we build ads for the webinar or whatever, right? So you have a net positive process and you just provide it with inputs, ads, right? So for social media marketing, if you're building your process and you're getting really, really good at a specific kind of service, then just eventually, provide it with inputs by either going out there and doing a buttload of cold outreach yourself and studying cold outreach methods if you aren't that confident in it, and then getting a bunch of clients in the door, getting meetings and landing some. So you're feeding it with inputs, right? And then 3, once you have money or once you have an output, take the output and feed it back around into a larger input, right? So 1 turns into 2, put it back, turns into, 2 turns into 4, 4 turns into 8, 8 turns into 16. And the only thing you have to make sure is that the process, its mouth is big enough to take in new, larger inputs. So what I mean by this? So this is scale. I'm talking about scale now. So you, working on your clients alone, cannot handle more than like 10 clients. There's no way you can handle like more than 10 clients. I haven't seen anybody do it. So you need to hire a contractor, open the mouth of your process, make it larger, make it capable of more inputs, right? Then eventually maybe there's some clients that, they don't really want to, for example, they're not really super interested in having your service, but they'd like to do it for themselves. Okay, create like a $300, $200 little downsell course and sell that to the clients that aren't really interested in your service, but do want to do it for themselves. Sell that course to them. Open the mouth of your process. Now you've got some people who are maybe more high ticket, they just need like a one-off service and they just need you to do one specific thing instead of coming in and posting them for the next 6 months or whatever. They just like, come to our business, teach us how to do it. So now you start offering like a $5,000 training session with their business. So you have a low, a mid, and a high offer. So you're opening the mouth of your process, and you're also hiring in VAs where you need to handle email or whatever, and you're hiring in contractors to do the service. And so as you make money, you feed in the front. And so I hope this is helping you understand like why it's frustrating people get stuck. They get stuck on like really stupid stuff. They get stuck on things like, freaking whatever. They get stuck on client outreach. I get the DM all the time. Like, how do I get my first client? I'm just like, just go get your freaking first client. Just go talk to people. Know your process. Know the service well enough that you can talk about it to a client, and then bring them value. So at the end of the day, all business is just providing value to people, and you can't provide value to people if you're just wanting to make money and make money alone. So it's another thing you have to think about. Are you actually trying to help people, or are you just here to make money? If you're just here to make money, that's okay, but you're gonna have to learn how to help people along the way. Right? That's what business does. It's impossible to scale if you're just in it for yourself. It's really hard. So yeah, that's it. That's the entire video. This applies to literally every single freaking business you're ever going to run, not just social media marketing. But I want to take social media marketing and allow it to be not just about running Facebook ads for clients, which is a beautiful model, and I'm going to teach it for a very long time, and that's going to be my focus. But I want you to understand that as you do that, you're going to learn a lot about business. And like for me, I started off as a wedding photographer. And if you're a coaching student of mine, you know this very, very well. I bring up wedding photography super often to my students because it taught me so many lessons, and it's where I learned those lessons. Like things like handling objections at sales meetings, things like, how to present myself, how to know my value, how to, talk about price, right? How to deliver a streamlined, effective service, knowing my workflow, stuff like that, right? And I learned all that in wedding photography. So when I came into social media marketing, I had like a huge advantage because I already knew how to run a business. A lot of people don't even know how to run a business, and they're trying to start with this. So that's why you're stuck at these things. You're stuck at inputs. You're stuck at how do I get my first client? You're even stuck at like, what YouTubers should I watch or whatever. It's like, geez, just have a service that's worth it, feed it with inputs. That's all you gotta do. And frankly, worry about outputs later. Worry about money later. Give yourself like 6 months to just focus on like inputs and processes. And guaranteed by the time you have 6 months where you just focus on those two, you're gonna have way more output than you know what to do with. Just like way freaking more. It's gonna be nuts. You're not gonna know what to do with the money. So that's all I have to say. We're gonna end the video there. I hope this video wasn't too like rambly, all over the place, but I just really felt the need to make it because it's just something I think needs said. And the social media marketing niche, people are just so confused. They're just like, how do I start? Like, what do I do? They just see all these influencers out there driving nice cars and stuff, and that's fine. Like, nice cars, I drive a nice car. I'm driving BMW, I love it. It's great. But it's like, you're valuing the wrong things. Value systems to serve people, and value overcoming yourself in order to build the systems to serve people. And once you value those two things, you're going to make a freaking ton of money. It's stupid. So that's all. That's all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like down below, subscribe. I'll have lots of content like it coming out soon. And that's about all I have for you today. So thanks once again for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.